I'll let you make the motion then.
All right, let's make a motion to open the meeting.
Good idea. Second.
Polling the members, John,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
now we have a new I'm trying to remember your name. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names.
Rob. Yes.
Okay. And I'll vote yes. So the motion carries. The meeting is open.
Review the
Now those minutes just came out a minute ago. So if nobody's read them, then we'll do it later. So
how many people read them?
I did.
I did. All right.
Okay.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for Wednesday, November 6th.
Second.
Okay. Polling the members, John.
Yes.
What happened to John?
I'm right here. Nothing happened.
Oh, okay. Darlene,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
and Tom. Sorry. And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, the motion carries, the minutes are passed. Thank you. So Vicky, can you read the notice for this hearing, or did we already do that? I can't remember.
Yeah, Bill, we did that when we opened it to continue. So why don't we do we want to make a motion just to open the hearing?
Yes.
We're having an issue.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. Bill, they're having a problem with the Zoom connection, so we're gonna hang on a second.
Make sure everybody can get in. The idea. Okay. All right. So
Did you hear me?
Can you hear my engineer who's in the lower left corner?
No, he's muted.
He
I
waved.
see him waving, but he's muted.
Okay.
And that's my
There he
traffic.
is.
I can hear everybody.
Yay.
Okay.
That came in loud and clear.
My traffic engineer is
MDM,
on the right.
I don't know what's going on right
So are we good to go?
No, just hang on.
Okay.
Six o'clock. It feels really weird to be here in person.
doesn't it?
Does.
New table and everything.
Yeah.
And I think the equipment's new too, since I've been here last.
Now that I've met you all, I don't want to do this again. So.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thanks.
So Tom, I don't know.
We're gonna call him
It's really
Tom.
like face, you know?
Well, is this the same one they used for the Board of Selectmen's meeting the other night?
It is.
Sounds terrible. There's so much, you gotta be careful of the sound that you make around it. All you can hear is, yeah.
Thank you for the warning.
I wish they did, would invest in some lavalier mics that are Bluetooth wireless.
I mean, we do have.
That way you'd get people's voices instead of, I don't know. I listened to it the other night. I was like, oh, it's painful.
So is that the issue, Dave, that the link doesn't work, but the meeting passcode and ID do work?
I'm not quite sure, but the link that's displayed on the town's website says the meeting is gonna start at 6:30, which is obviously incorrect. But we've got it set up correctly with the Zoom application and everything at the proper time.
It also says the meeting's on November 6th.
And where on the website does it say that?
Town calendar. If you click on see all events, which is where the path will go.
What was the posting?
Seems correct there.
And then when you click on the agenda, the agenda says
Post-
5:50 as well.
Posting actually says
And then it's only when you click on the link.
Wednesday, November 21st.
6:03.
Instead
Right.
of Thursday
I'm not sure.
at 5:50. So take your pick.
Sounds like we've said
So I'm not sure why Beth was
Sometimes.
seeing
I
it, but
don't know
We have a
either.
It's
number of
all
meetings
coached.
we need to attend, but
it's posted correct and was set up.
That
One
one
is
is
overtime.
Okay.
It's, I'm gonna speak loudly so the chair can hear me. So I don't have a concern because the agenda posting is for a 5:50 meeting with a public hearing that starts at 6 o'clock. The website seems to indicate that the meeting starts at 5:50 as well. If you use the meeting ID and passcode and you input that into Zoom, it connects you. I think that there is maybe an issue for some people using the direct link from the website, but the agenda includes the language I've always recommended that says that Zoom is being provided as a courtesy. And then in the event that there are technical difficulties, that the live meeting is going to continue. So from a notice perspective, I don't see an issue.
Do you need that info?
I'll keep it just in case. That's great. Thank you.
I think that the number date is way more important than somebody's interpretation of what day of the week it was. In this particular case.
Oh, I see your point, Bill. The agenda also says Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole different issue.
Well, and the funny thing is, of course, Wednesday is our usual meeting day. So, but anyway, I did get an email from Beth yesterday saying that the meeting was tomorrow. So,
Is that better than it being the day after? Like if somebody tuned in yesterday, they'd realize it was today.
Well, it is the lesser of two evils, but sometimes the Division of Open Government still qualifies it as an evil. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's highlighted on the online calendar as being today. The date above it on the online calendar listing says November 21st, which of course the agenda says too, except that the agenda just says Wednesday before November and not Thursday. So it's a risk, but it's really the applicant's risk more than it's the board's risk. The applicant's proceeding with the public hearing portion of the agenda, and if there's a challenge later to the agenda not providing adequate notice, it's the applicant that unfortunately bears the risk, even though the error was the town's error. So what I usually recommend in circumstances like these is when the applicant's matter is called, you bring it to the attention of the applicant or the applicant's counsel, and they make the judgment call if they want to proceed or not. Knowing that the alternative is, okay, thanks for coming, we're going to do this again. And whenever it can be noticed and whenever the board members are available and the applicant's available. So, but it does have the correct date, just not the correct day of the week.
So Adam, are you saying you think it is defective notice then or not?
It's certainly a defect. Whether it is defective notice such that it compromises the whole public hearing process or extends the appeal period, I'm not aware. Maybe the applicant's counsel is aware. I'm not aware of a case that addresses an agenda posting that had the correct date, but the wrong day of the week, and not serving as a basis for a late filed appeal. So I think the best thing you can do is you can give the applicant the opportunity to postpone if they choose to, since they're the ones proceeding at risk. And if they want to proceed, then they proceed at risk. And I've not received any notice of anybody having, I don't know if Beth has, having shown up yesterday expecting a meeting to be held. when there was no meeting,
Right.
and we have nobody else in attendance here other than the
Right.
applicant's counsel, so,
Can I see the list of participants?
So, would the applicant's counsel like to chime in here?
I've asked to see the list of participants.
So select board chambers, TCAM, that's the host and that's this computer. Bill Cadigan is the chair. We have David Frothingham.
My engineer.
Okay, we have LMS.
Who's LMS?
Lisa Struthers.
Okay, hi Lisa.
She a resident?
Yes.
Okay, so resident, and then
Misha.
your traffic engineer, and then ZBA admin is Beth. That's all.
Let me just check my files here for 1 second.
So, do we have a decision from the applicant's counsel?
I'm 90% of the way there, Mr. Chairman. I'm just looking to see in my files if I have information that I need. Hang on 1 second.
In case you can't hear him very well, he's just checking his file. Give him a minute.
Got it.
I'm going to roll the dice, Mr. Chairman. I have no problem going forward.
Hey. So I move to open the public hearing on the application of 324 Main Street Partners LLC.
Second,
It's actually a continuation.
it's a continuation.
I move to continue, open the continuance.
Second,
Thank you.
Polling members, Tom,
Yes.
John,
Yes. I could say it again if you'd like. Yes.
you're very soft. No, I think he,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, it's Rob. Rob's our new guy, Bill. Robert,
Whoa.
Not Tom.
you got a pen?
okay, Darlene, did you vote?
I did not, but yes.
Okay. Okay.
Vicky?
And who else did I forget?
Vicky.
Vicky says yes.
All
Okay,
right,
great.
it's unanimous.
Unanimous. Bill Cadigan votes yes as well. Okay, so we're open for a continuation. We had our standard practice is to go through the what do you call them?
Mandatory referrals.
That's right. Like I said, where did I put this stuff? Well, here it is.
List of them right there. Yeah.
I've got a list of them in front of me. You want me to read them off, Bill?
No, that's fine. I've got them. I've got them right here. So we'll start up. I have to. Actually, you better do it because I'm having trouble opening the letter. I was able to do it earlier today.
Right, the Board of Health. A septic system must be designed, approved, and installed that is in compliance with 310 CMR 15.000 and the Townsend Board of Health regulations. The property is proposed to be served by town water. A food service permit must be obtained from the Board of Health. This will require submittal of an application, fees, and kitchen plans to review for compliance prior to starting kitchen build-out. Signed, Rick Metcalf, agent for Townsend Board of Health. The land use coordinator. Applicant should provide proof of compliance with 145-40E1. The board should consider having the applicant provide proof of compliance with Mass 21E. Board should consider having applicant provide proof of compliance with General Bylaw, Chapter 49. That's signed by Jessica Consalvo, the land use coordinator. From the water department, new service line must be 1-inch copper line and a 2-inch sleeve. Great project. Dave, I don't know how to say his last name, the water superintendent. Oh, there's an attachment. And I don't, all right, there's one, but it's not here. Hang on, Bill.
There's a sign. There's a please sign.
Okay, Bill, I'm gonna continue. We had a couple people come in to attend. The next one's from the Board of Selectmen. Their comment, the Board of Selectmen agreed to leave it to the Zoning Board of Appeals to be decided. Joe Shank, Board of Selectmen. From the Fire Department, we have no concerns with this proposal. We welcome a new business to town, signed Michael Grimley. Planning Board, we encourage revitalization of this site, signed Laura Schifrin, Chair. Highway and Conservation Commission both had no comment, and there is an abutter letter. Do you want me to read the abutter letter, Bill?
Yeah, you probably better.
Yeah, I do. Hang on, probably, huh?
At the other side.
Oh, here it is. So this letter was written October 2nd, 2024, and it reads, we, Joanne Thistle and Jennifer Vecchione, who reside at 322 Main Street, Townsend, directly next to the gas station being spoken about, oppose the application of 324 Main Street LLC. We have small child. It will cause more traffic and noise to our area and strange people accidentally pulling into our driveway. The construction and store will bring down the value of our home. If 324 Main Street LLC would like to buy our property for a value of $1 million, we would gladly move out. If this is approved, we will hire lawyers to put the construction on hold and it will never be built. If trees are cut down for this, it will destroy our privacy. The construction would be a huge health hazard to me with my cancer and MS. We will not allow this to happen. Again, making it very clear, we will hire attorneys to halt the construction. My doctors would not approve of me getting gas fumes through my open window. And if that station was to set on fire, my family would be dead. Like I said, buy us our for $1 million or spend millions fighting us. And then it's signed by Jennifer Vecchione and Joanne Thistle. I hope I didn't botch the names, but okay, those are the referrals and comments.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Sure.
My mom has asked me to speak on her behalf. She's the abutter directly across the street from this project. And she wasn't up to appearing on Zoom or in person.
David, what's the address, please?
She is at 321 Main Street, literally directly across the street from the gas station.
Okay. And her name?
Jenny Funiole, F-U-N-A-I-O-L-E.
Okay. I guess you have the floor.
Okay. First off, she wanted to let people know she's not against this. She just is concerned about how late the hours of operation might be. She would hate to see it open with, traffic running through the coffee shop drive-through until 11 or midnight or whatever. So she's in favor of some kind of a reasonable time so that the lights aren't shining directly into her bedroom every night, late at night. That was about the extent of it.
Okay, thank you, David.
Thanks. All right. I had a question
Wait, well,
because
while we're on that, do you want to see if there's any other public comment, or did you want to go directly to the?
well, that's fine. We could check for public comment. That's a good idea. Sure.
Does anyone, do you have any comments or?
I'm definitely in favor of this project.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is there anybody online on Zoom, members of the public that have any specific questions or comments they want noted on the record? Okay, Bill, all you.
So this place hasn't been a gas station for quite a while, and the question I have is, do we have any issues with abandonment on this particular site?
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Given that we've got somebody with both barrels loaded next door already, I'd like to make sure that we don't skip over anything.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Mark Bobrowski, attorney for the LLC that's the applicant this evening. My office is in Concord. The property has a long history of permitting. It goes back to 1990. I believe there were 2 further permits issued in 1997, and then a special permit was issued in 2012. I believe that all of those permits were survived the period of lapse that's prescribed in Chapter 48, Section 9. You have to commence construction or commence use within 2 years. And I don't think that there's any question that all of them achieved that landmark. So I'm not considering this abandoned for purposes of the application. We're not trying to bring back something that was left by the side of the road, pardon the pun. So we're treating this as modernization of the special permits that I just announced, and seeking to now move forward. The proposal is for much the same as the 2012 and 1997 permits authorized. That is the use of the property for what we call in the business a combo, gas, convenience store goods, and there'll be some food out the window as well. It will have a drive-through lane that will queue appropriately. Mr. Michaud, our traffic engineer, will describe the details of that. Brand new facility that will be rebuilt from the ground up. Mr. Frothingham, our engineer, will also give you his best take on how that will work. I'm happy to turn over the mic to Mr. Frothingham first, and then Mr. Michaud can come in and talk about the traffic, because I know that's been a concern. And then the applicants, the managers of the LLC, just came in while we were setting up the meeting, and Mr. Umar Mughal and his dad are here. They can answer any questions that I can't.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm aware of the permit history of the place. I just wanted to make sure that that we don't overlook anything. That's all.
Thank you.
The other question I have, just to get started, is there was a I can't remember what state organization, but whoever is in charge of gasoline storage tanks, there was a project there to deal with pollution that had occurred in the past. And the last I had heard about the site, it was it was an ongoing thing. And then I've been told recently that, oh yeah, no, it's all been cleared up and they have a clean bill of health from the state on the site. Is that accurate?
My name is Umar. I'm one of the owners of the LLC. So to best of my knowledge,
You probably have to come up.
Yeah, why don't you take my chair for a minute?
Yeah, this is the microphone.
I can.
Yeah, pull up a chair and whoever's speaking can come sit.
My name is Umar Mughal. I'm one of the owners of the LLC. To best of my knowledge, the property is it's almost 100% cleaned up, but there's still some compliance testing, soil testing that's happening quarterly. I believe the civil engineer David can shed a little more light on it because they're the engineers, and his firm is monitoring the site for cleaning up whatever issues that were found whenever they took out the tanks. I believe it was around 2015 or something. But by the time the whole remediation process was supposed to be done, it was supposed to be 100% cleaned up. So we are well on our way to be there if we have not already achieved that.
So let's
good.
see what Mr. Frothingham has to offer on that subject. But David, if you would give us just a complete overview, including the 21E issues.
Sure. Unfortunately, I can't speak too much to the contamination or the 21E issues on the site. I know that it is still under ongoing monitoring and reporting for the contamination that was present on the site. Environmental division of our company. But if the board would like, I can certainly provide additional information on the compliance with 21E from our environmental division.
Yeah,
So my name is.
I guess the question: are there monitoring wells like pipes in the ground?
There are still monitoring wells in the ground, and there is still monitoring equipment on site.
Great, thank you.
So my name is Dave Frothingham from Wilcox and Barton. I'm the civil engineer for this project. I will try to share my screen with everybody. Someone will have to let me do that.
Yeah, David.
Yep, give me a second, I'll let that go. Okay, give it a try, David.
There you go.
All right, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so along just to get everybody oriented, along the bottom of the sheet is Main Street, Route 119. Most quickly, this is the existing conditions plan. So what you see in the front of the site here is the existing canopy. All of these monitoring wells that are labeled, these are all the wells that are on site. Some are active, some aren't. The existing building in the rear here, or just further back in the site, and then some existing sheds in this area over here. The existing septic system is behind the building and in this area here. And then there's an existing water service that comes in from the street. So this proposal is to demolish the existing canopy and all the existing buildings, existing pavement, concrete, everything that's on the site. And to construct a new commercial building with a convenience store, drive-through, takeout window, and office space on the second floor. So starting at the front of the site will be accessed through two-way curb cuts. So cars can enter from either direction. Generally, circulation will run through the site in a counterclockwise direction, especially through the drive-through. The drive-through is set up with an order board and a queuing distance, and then on the opposite side of the building, a drive-through window. Delivery trucks coming to the site will enter through the eastern side to access the tanks and move through the path through the site. So first thing in the site is a new 55 by 52 foot canopy over 4 new fueling positions. Each fueling position will have gasoline, and a few will have diesel. To the east of there are 2 new underground storage tanks, one 15,000 gallon tank for gasoline, and then a 8,000 gallon compartment tank for 4,000 gallons of premium gasoline and 4,000 gallons of diesel. These tanks are fiberglass in construction. They are double walled with monitoring of both the interstitial space and the fuel levels, with leak detection systems in all of the piping and piping sumps. All of the piping is double walled. This will be a modern system with meeting all of the current standards and using the latest technology for spill detection and prevention. Moving back into the site, we'll have parking down each side and then some head-in spaces across the front of the building. We are proposing a new sidewalk into the site along the eastern side and a new sidewalk across the front, connecting with existing sidewalks on each side. This just replaces the sidewalk that is there and brings it up to a current 5 foot wide concrete sidewalk standard. So stormwater and grading on the site. So the site naturally slopes from the front or the north to the south in the rear. So we've designed a stormwater system for this, taking into account the types of uses on the site and the increase in impervious cover for the site. So the grading design is such that with all the fueling taking place under a canopy, that all stormwater runoff is routed around the fueling pad. So what this does is there's no rainfall directly on the pad, and there's no run onto the pad. So the fueling area and the stormwater runoff are separated to the maximum extent possible by this site, by this system. Stormwater will be collected in the rear of the site in a system of catch basins and pipes. All the catch basins are proposed to be deep sump catch basins with hooded outlets, so that any floating debris or floating hydrocarbons, gasoline or diesel, remains in those catch basins and doesn't pass through the system. This also provides our pretreatment of our stormwater. At the rear of the site, prior to discharge from the closed network, we have a stormwater water quality structure. So this is a structure that provides 80% removal of total suspended solids, removal of hydrocarbons and other pollutants from the stormwater. And then is discharged to a new infiltration basin at the rear of the site. The soils here are deep, well-drained soils, so we're able to infiltrate nearly all of the runoff from the site up to a 50-year storm event. At a 100-year event, it does overflow the stormwater basin and flow into a drainage at the rear of the site. This mimics the existing stormwater pattern on site. There's a natural low area in the rear that already collects and infiltrates all the runoff from this site. So this design mimics that. We do take into account that we do have a high pollutant load because of the gas station, and we remove nearly 90% of the pollutants prior to discharge to the infiltration basin through this system. As noted, this site will be served by municipal water, and we'll make the changes to the plan as requested by the water department. And Dillis and Roy has designed a septic system for the site that is in this area right here. I apologize that it didn't show up on these plans. But a system has been designed for the site, and it will be submitted to the health department for review and their approval. And then lastly, across the front and on this sides over here, we are proposing some additional landscaping, especially across this eastern side, adjacent to the single family home over here, with a thick hedgerow of cedars to again, to the maximum extent practical, keep light and noise and dust on this site. Post construction, there'll be very, very little dust generation. And we did submit a lighting plan using all downcast and cut off fixtures to minimize the spread of light and light pollution around the area.
Did you consider putting up a fence in addition to the cedar?
That is something we could do. But we had at this point just proposed the cedar, but if the board feels that a fence would be appropriate, that could be done, a stockade fence. The cedars will ultimately grow to be a thicker, taller screen than a fence would. A fence will provide kind of immediate separation,
What's the
buffering.
height of the cedars? What's the height of the cedars on installation?
6 feet, I believe. Yes, planted height is 6 feet, 4 feet on center. So it will be about the same height as a stockade fence when they go in.
Question on your canopy, is there any fire protection system in there?
There will be a fire suppression system in there, yes.
Okay. Is that state code? I'm not clear on that.
It is standard practice to do that, yes.
So it's good manufacturing practice, but it's not necessarily required by the state?
It's not required by NFPA. I don't know.
Okay. That answers my question. Thanks. All right. Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, also, if there are no questions, we have Bob Michaud from MDM Transportation, and he's done a traffic review of the property in the area.
Okay.
Yes, good evening, Chair and board members. For the record, Robert Michaud, Managing Principal of MDM Transportation Consultants. We're based in Marlborough, Massachusetts. What I'd like to do is just share screen here, so I may need to be admitted to share. Apologies for that. I've got a very brief slide set that I'd like to present.
It's the host that does it. Bob, you may be able to try.
Yeah, I'm trying now. It just says that the sharing is not turned on, so I think the administrator may have to turn that back on.
He can't be back to his
Okay.
laptop yet.
Can you let us know when you can hear us, Dave?
Yep, I will give him screen sharing momentarily.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert, you should have it now.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so you should be able to see on the screen.
Yep.
I've already introduced. What I'd like to do is just recap what we've prepared by way of a traffic study. It's a standard traffic study that would be required in this case by Mass DOT. It was done to a Mass DOT standard. And it looked at the frontage of the property. As the board is aware, the property is on the south side of Route 119, Main Street. That is a roadway that's subject to Mass DOT permitting. So there will be an additional process in which design of the driveways and permitting of the driveways needs to be conducted through Mass DOT. To provide some context on what we expect for traffic, we've looked at industry standards for the combined set of uses that are being proposed. That would include the convenience component, the drive-through coffee shop, the office component, and the fueling stations or fueling positions. I want to make one correction, and that is while there are 4 pumps located on the proposed site plan, that correlates to 8 total vehicle fueling positions. Each pump actually is allowed to fuel on either side of the pump, if you will. So we've got 8 fueling positions. We've got second-story office component at 2,000 square feet, and the ground floor would be the convenience store at 2,000 square feet, roughly half of which would represent the coffee use with the drive-through. When you apply industry standards, trip rates to those particular uses, and then make a correction for what's known as pass-by traffic, those uses principally draw their business from the existing passing traffic stream. That's known as a pass-by trip. The vast majority of these trips are, in fact, these types of trips pass by. They're not necessarily new to the roadway. They're already on the roadway. They just find the opportunity to grab a cup of coffee or refuel or grab a convenience item on their way to another destination. When you apply those, what we're talking about in terms of new vehicle activity for the use is less than 30 total hourly trips during peak hours. So by way of example, in the morning, which tends to be a higher generating period for coffee shop use in particular, for instance, we would expect there to be 15 additional trips on Main Street that would want to go into the site, and about 12 per hour that would want to leave during that particular period of the day. Weekday evening, as folks are coming back from work, for instance, we'd have similar but slightly lower volumes at about a combination of 25 trips, 12 in, 13 out, and on a Saturday midday, just under 30, 15 in, 14 out. So those are the new trip increases that we would expect a facility like this to generate. Very manageable numbers, frankly, and relative to the roughly 1,000 vehicles an hour that use Main Street, represent a very small incremental change. If you were to look at how those trips are distributed on the road, we've produced these very high-level graphics, right? These are very schematic snapshots in time for weekday mornings, weekday evenings, and Saturday midday periods. And you'll see in the top of this particular slide, the site is represented by having these 2 driveways, right? The easterly and westerly driveways, and then the Main Street corridor. And you'll see that we believe that roughly 70% of any new traffic that would be generated would be tending to come from the west, 30% from the east. And when you apply those trips that I just mentioned earlier, the new trips, and you add those to the volumes, that's what we're actually looking at right now. We're showing that at either driveway, the vehicle trip increases and the total number of trips that would be coming into or leaving the site are pretty manageable numbers. The higher volume driveway, which would be the easterly driveway, would be generating about 20 left turns an hour. It's about 1 vehicle every 3 minutes. And about 40, just under 40 right turns per hour, vehicle every couple of minutes to the right. And you'll see in the other examples of weekday evening peak hour and Saturday midday peak hour, very similar, but very, modest numbers. Operationally, what that means is that if you're attempting to leave the driveway, you'll experience some amount of delay, but very minimal delay. And as we do these traffic studies, we need to report those delays in terms of a letter grade designation. Low delays, very low delays are represented by a level of service A. The next tier would be, and then so on and so forth until you get to what we would call a failing condition. In this particular example, regardless of the time of day, morning, evening, or Saturday midday, these driveways will work very well with delays of less than 15 seconds for any turns leaving the site, and for turns into the site, even less delayed than that. So from an operational standpoint, this is not going to create an impediment. It's not going to create a slowdown in front of the site. It's not going to create any amount of substantial queuing either on the site or along Main Street. Now, in addition to the operations, we've also looked at the drive-through and how it would function. The site plan is well designed in that the drive-through function is well to the rear of the property, away from Main Street. It contains a drive-through lane that it has the capacity to accommodate somewhere around 10 vehicles entirely within the drive-through lane, and additional space behind that within the property itself. Where the actual amount of queuing that we predict will happen based on this location and the size and layout of the facility is that the maximum amount of queuing we expect would be about 5 vehicles going through that drive-through. So the drive-through is going to operate well below its actual capacity. And we know, because I know we've done a lot of projects like this throughout the Commonwealth, that the window itself has the capability of functioning at a very high level in terms of the number of vehicles it can actually process. In this particular example, we don't believe that the demand for that window is going to be any more than about 40 vehicles or so, a little under 50 vehicles, where the window actually has the capacity to generate or accommodate about twice that amount of traffic. So we're comfortable that the layout is well suited to accommodate all of those demands within the property. From a circulation standpoint, we've looked at various vehicle types and circulation patterns that are expected in this particular example by fire apparatus or emergency response vehicles that may need to occasionally get onto the property. We've modeled the path of this particular vehicle using computer software referred to as AutoTurn. It shows the swept path of that type of a vehicle as they would be turning into the site from Main Street, or turning from the site back onto Main Street. And we're pleased to report that the circulation elements of the site work quite well for that type of a vehicle. There's no impediment to traffic flow, and I believe that the fire department has all opined that they're comfortable with this particular design in the site. We've also looked at fuel tanker. As David had mentioned earlier, there are underground storage tanks that would need to be refueled. That type of an operation typically occurs once to twice per week. The driveways are appropriately sized so that a tanker vehicle could get into the site, circulate within the aisles, pull over or near where those underground storage tanks are, and comfortably leave again without encroachment. And finally, I think we also, I guess that's it for, so those are the largest vehicle types that were modeled. Everything works. I will point out that the driveway design, as it's shown on the site plan, may be subject to slight refinements through the Mass DOT review and approval process. DOT will sometimes require that sites like this have a specific curb radius and material of construction. Those types of details would be hammered out through that secondary permit process, if you will. But all of the elements that are shown on the site plan are generally consistent with the Mass DOT criteria. As David had mentioned earlier, the sidewalk that currently fronts the site will be upgraded so that it is rebuilt along the site frontage and is made to be ADA compliant. So from that perspective, we're comfortable representing that the site in its current design is substantially in conformance with the DOT requirements, subject to small refinements through that subsequent review and approval. So that's really the extent of the traffic report. This is a low impact project from the standpoint of how much more traffic or additional traffic it would generate. Will work quite well from an operational standpoint, both at the driveways along Main Street and for the drive-through, and is properly sized and dimensioned for the types of circulation elements that we expect would need to be accommodated. All right, with that, that concludes. I'm glad to answer any specific questions the board might have. Thank you.
So the data that you're using is based on the classification of the road, not actual traffic counts of what 119 is. So
Yeah, I'll clarify. That's a good question. We actually did go out in the first few months of this year, and we did counts using high technology video cameras, actually called MyoVision cameras. And so we did record the hourly and the daily traffic flow conditions on Main Street. We've made appropriate seasonal corrections to that data. That data had indicated that on a daily basis, Main Street currently carries on the order of about 10,000 vehicles a day. On peak hours, the morning and evening peak hours that I mentioned earlier, those peak hour volumes range around 800 total trips, two-way trips past the site. So that's all documented in the traffic report in accordance with Mass DOT guidelines.
thank you.
Do you have any recommendations about the speed limit on 119 at that point?
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. We actually did look at travel speeds while we were out there. So we did speed measurements to determine compliance with speed regulations. And I'm going to look at the actual results right here and be able to say, yeah, so it posted 40. The speed technology that we use here was a radar box. So we use the same data collection techniques as a police department would use, for instance, to measure speeds. And we've done that over a 2-day period of time. The average or mean speed is actually just about exactly 40. It ranges from 38 to 39 miles an hour. And there's a second statistical data point that we also report. It's called the 85th percentile speed. And that's the speed at which 85% of the traveling public travels at or below. And that 85th percentile speed is actually what the state would consider appropriate for posting speed limits. The 85th percentile speeds actually range from 41 miles an hour to 43 miles per hour. So they're very consistent with the posted limits there. So we see no cause or reason to have to revisit what the regulatory posted speed limits are in that area.
Okay, good.
Was having the school nearby factored into this, people walking over?
There are sidewalks currently along Main Street, and I think the applicant, the proponent, recognizes the importance of providing a pedestrian connection to the property itself. Beyond that, there aren't any specific, actions that are being proposed to encourage that type of use. The idea is we want to accommodate within the context of the site the ability to walk to or from the site, or to bike there for that matter, right? So those are all accommodations that the proponent is willing to make within the context and confines of its frontage and its property.
All right, great. It's not often we have somebody from Marlboro talking about traffic.
I love talking about traffic. We like to leave things better than we found them.
It's a great town to practice in. That's all I can say.
Yeah, there's a lot more traffic where I'm at. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Anything else?
No, Mr. Chairman, that completes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions about topics that have been raised this evening.
Did you consider putting any EV, electric vehicle charging stations?
We thought about it, but at the moment, there's not enough demand for it. So it's not really, I mean, David and I did speak about that actually. But then from my experience in this industry, which is roughly, not a lot, but about 15 years, those work better on the highways or bigger like mall facilities. You rarely see one on like a 119 type road. You can go through. You never, you won't see it like bigger like truck stop type. Where there's a little more flow. It makes a lot more sense there than.
The quickie stop, someone's
Yeah.
gonna hang out long enough.
Yeah, the stops are so brief.
Yeah. I mean, we would like people to spend like half hour inside the store, but I don't think, that's the goal here, so.
No, it wouldn't be a very long charging session. I mean, the only usefulness would be if you had an employee there that drove to work and wanted to charge their car. But,
Chair?
I don't think Bill can.
Yeah, Kevin, why don't you come up here?
Yeah. This is the microphone.
Mr. Chair?
Kevin Smith wants to
Kevin
say
Smith.
something.
yes, Mr. Smith, what's up?
Recently, Townsend Ford, a neighbor to this property, put in a new, I believe, 4 electric charging stations. So there is, I'm gonna say substantial electric charging capability within just a few hundred feet of this site. And I have never seen a vehicle at that charging station since it went in. I don't know anything more than that, but it's not really a happening place there, you might say.
Yeah.
Are those open to the public? Anybody
They are.
can pull in?
They're open to the public.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a vehicle. I often look when I go by because the owner spent a substantial amount of money installing them. And myself, I've never seen any vehicles there using the facility.
So you'd have to drop your car off and get a ride home to use it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Something like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Buy a new Ford while you're there.
Probably gas powered.
All right, so trying to get calibrated. So we've had the presentation. I think it's time to go through our
We have someone
We have
else,
one more
we have someone else who
comment.
wants to speak. Can you state your name for the record? and then-
My name is Elias Mughal, and I am the first move in 15 years in Townsend before. And I start from that gas station zero, and that is the oldest gas station in the town. Before Speedway, Citco, Gulf, such as that. Sherman Allen owned the property, and I leased from him. After I left, since I left, that is closed. And regarding traffic, our police department is doing very good control because always police car is there right in front of my house. They are watching traffic. If somebody is going over speed, they give right and night and day speeding ticket. And that my house, I live 310 Main Street, and the location is 324, and that is my walking distance. And that school zone, school area is 20 miles per hour. Just sign is in front of my house. So nobody's driving that. And that is my wishful thinking. This is my first place I start my business. I am almost 35 years in the United States. New York, Boston, Chicago, everywhere. But since my family came, I decided to stay here because this town, it looks to me very nice. Even I go sometime outside of the house, I leave my door open. But other town and other state I live, I not do that. Even when I go, I leave the TV on because somebody think that somebody is inside, especially in New York. And that's why I appreciate the town, business people, and even town herself, town office. They helped me a lot. I did my house, and they gave me permission to live there. And Mr. Kevin Smith, he built for my new house because that house is very close and disturbing. So I want to make a new house, so I go back in. I mean, I have no good words more than that. I don't know what I talk about the towns because that is very good for me. My kids, I have 7 kids, all my kids grown up. My good get education. 2, 3, my kids are a doctor in Boston and accountant and big firms almost. And everybody, they told me move from here to Boston. And I said no. I live here, my wife die here, my mother die here, I want to die here. I don't want to go Boston, I don't want to go anywhere. I like it. I like same that my house. And that is my wishful thinking because I can do, if I want to do, I do something for town because this town really helped me too much and I appreciate it. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bill,
Another comment.
we have some more comments.
Come on up, Kevin.
Chair?
He can't hear you if you don't, because he's on the Zoom.
No, he's zooming from
He's
places
zooming.
far away. Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
as a resident of town my whole life, Mr. Mogul and his family came to town many years ago, and he worked hard. He opened that little business there. He worked as hard as any of us, maybe even harder, or equally as hard. He worked hard. He ran an honest business there. And as a resident of Townsend, taxpayer, businessman, I think I can speak for my whole family. I'm in support of what Mr. Mogul is trying to do. He wants to spend his retirement years working every day like he has for the last 40 years, probably walking back and forth to that gas station. We've all the time he was there, our family bought fuel from him. He was very honest. He ran a very good business. I watched his kids grow up, going to school here. And I just want to let the board know that I'm in favor, and I almost think I can speak for my whole family to allow this project to move forwards. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Should we
So,
check online about any other additional comments?
Oh, did you hear it?
Bill, should we check online and see if there's anybody on Zoom who wants to comment before we start processing?
We've got LMS, which we haven't figured out who that is. We got Aisha's iPhone and Usman.
No, LMS introduced themselves.
That was Lisa Struthers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Lisa Struthers. I don't know who.
Hello.
Usman.
Hey, my name is Usman. Last name Guam. So I'm Umar's brother, and I'm also one of the owners of this LLC. I just wanted to comment on one thing in the objection letter. So I'm a physician by training. I work here at Mass General Brigham in towards downtown. There was a comment about increased risk of MS flares and possible carcinogens related to the construction site. There's not a lot of data supporting increased exacerbation of MS flares in proximity to a construction site. There's no increased morbidity, mortality, and no direct causality in this very specific situation. Can we find the one odd case? I'm sure. I think if we did that, like, we probably wouldn't take aspirin either. But from a medical point of view, there's not a significant risk of increase of MS flares. Otherwise, when hospitals are under constructions, we probably wouldn't have MS patients come to the hospital at all.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Let's see. Can Aisha, are you trying to say something? You're muted. Oh, you're not. Okay. All right. Okay.
Nobody has their hand up,
Yep.
Bill, so I think everybody online is good, I think.
All right.
It's 2:10, yeah, those are the 5 and 2
So what's in front of us is pre-existing non-conforming use. I'm a little unclear on this.
The special permit request is under sections 145-46-65 and -40. It is a special permit request to basically demolish the existing facilities on the property and to replace them with the improvements as described by Mr. Frothingham. That would be a new canopy and a new principal building that would have a convenience store and a food drive-through window inside. Eight positions, 4 pumps, completely replaced tanks. I think I hit the highlights.
Bill, 145-18 is the non-conforming because this is a RA3 district, so it's a residential A3 acre, so that would mean the use and whatnot is existing non-conforming.
Right.
Also, just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, the office is for the use of the business. It's not going to be leased out to some outside third party.
Thank you for that. Oh, I had one other question. We gave a variance some years ago for the canopy location. Are you planning to take advantage of that variance in this project, or is it going to comply with the current setback?
Everything's set way back. The new building is set back further, so that allows the canopy to be set back. So it looks like they comply with all setbacks.
Dave, do you want to add anything on that?
So the existing canopy was existing non-conforming to the setbacks. The proposed canopy is more conforming than the existing canopy. So we are improving the setbacks, but the canopy is still within the 50-foot front yard setback.
All right. So
I can show you on my plan if you'd like.
How many feet?
That's all right. I believe the variance runs with the land, so that it's still in effect. So if you're moving the canopy to make it a little more conforming than the variance allowed, then that sounds like it's going to be okay. Is any
The existing canopy was 8 feet off the front line. And the proposed canopy is 23 feet off the front property line. So it's within the variance that was previously granted.
It's like half within half.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other was all total.
I think that's good news. Thank you. Darlene, do you want to go through the special permit criteria?
Sure. I don't have my computer. I have the big fat book. Let me get it.
We did go through them in the application.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, you did a nice job.
You have a copy right there.
Excellent. Oh, thank you.
That's the application.
So A is adequacy of the site in terms of size for the proposed uses. I'm gonna write what the applicant responded for each thing, if that's okay with you, Bill, and then the board can make their own comments, their own findings.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. The property contains the width and depth to allow for the development of the proposed project. There exists sufficient area to permit safe vehicle and pedestrian circulation and proper environmental protections. The project includes an upgraded stormwater collection and treatment system. The proposed development also includes spill control measures for the proposed fuel dispensing system. I would say some of those sentences don't apply here. I would say everything fits on the site with setbacks that are sufficient, and everything fits. Property contains the width and depth to allow for development of the proposed project.
Yeah, I don't
else
see
have any
I don't
comments?
see any problems
Okay. Some of the
With
other
the-
comments kind of apply
with
to.
that.
Okay. B, suitability of the site for the proposed use. The property is the site of a once fully operational gas station and convenience store. The project will improve the site and upgrade the property appropriate for today's uses. The project redevelops an outdated facility with new fuel dispensing systems in a new building. The property is located along a state highway. The property is located near the downtown area as well as other commercial and industrial developments. The project will provide needed services to the towns and community. Although there are adjacent residential uses, the property has historically always been used as a commercial gas station.
Yeah, I agree with that.
My comment would have been, although it's zoned residential A3, it's always been used as a gas station and
Right.
for commercial facility.
There's a historical argument for a gas station at that site.
Okay, impact on traffic flow and safety. I think we get that one covered. But I'll read this. The applicant refers to the traffic impact study prepared by MDM Transportation Consultants, Inc., enclosed herein. As concluded by MDM, here will be adequate capacity along Main Street to accommodate the project. Proposed access improvements will provide ample capacity to accommodate site-generated traffic while also enhancing safety and capacity in the study area. In addition, proposed access egress along Main Street will be designed to ensure that adequate sight lines are provided in accordance with AASHTO criteria based on ambient travel speeds. Projected drive-through customer demand and operations will accommodate peak period queuing impacts on the site with no anticipated impacts to the on-site circulation or site access. Everybody good with that? All right. Impact on neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas. I think this would be an improvement. The project proposes to replace a vacant building and fuel canopy with a new well-designed building and canopy. The proposed building is located farther into the site and adds a second story to better conform with the aesthetic of the area. The proposed development will not impact any views or vistas. Agree with that? Everybody good?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah. All right. E, adequacy of method of sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. The site design includes an on-site soil-based septic system compliant for the proposed uses and strength of wastewater. The redevelopment includes a new stormwater collection and treatment system. Runoff of the impervious surfaces will be collected in a closed drainage network and conveyed to a stormwater treatment system. After treatment, the runoff will be discharged to an infiltration basin at the rear of the lot where runoff is detained and infiltrated. The system also includes measures to prevent spills from the fuel dispensing area to commingle with runoff. These measures include a canopy over the fueling area, grading the site to direct runoff away from the fuel dispensing area, and positive limiting barriers around the fuel dispensing area to collect minor spills and prevent them from leaving the fueling pad. Good? Good. All right. F, adequacy of utilities and other public services. The property is served by electrical, communications, and natural gas utilities located within the Main Street right-of-way at the front of the property. Water service to the property is provided through the municipal water system, also located within the street right-of-way. So that doesn't look like a problem. G, impact on ground and surface water quality and other environmental and natural resource considerations. The project includes a stormwater management system to protect surface and groundwater quality. As detailed in the plan set, the project includes a stormwater management plan, which is incorporated herein by reference. The project also includes a new fuel dispensing system. The new system includes new double-walled storage tanks, double-walled piping, buried containment sumps, and spill containment measures as described above. Also included in the fuel storage system is electronic monitoring of the sumps and tanks, which notifies the operator of the system of any liquids with the sumps or
Interstitial.
Interstitial spaces. I haven't heard that word in a while. Okay. Anything to add to that, Bill? Or anyone else?
No, the only thing that I noticed was that you've got two essentially grease traps in series, and you said that would remove 90% of the pollutants, and I'm just wondering what it would take to do better than that. I mean, would you have to put in some sort of filtration system?
Even I mean, this exceeds the requirements for discharge to an infiltration basin.
Okay.
And typically, you only need to treat for about 50% TSS removal to discharge to infiltration, but because of the uses on site, we went above and beyond that.
Okay, great. I mean, it's more the planning board's wastewater permit that'll talk about that anyway, but that's good to know. Thank you.
So, Bill, that's the special permit criteria. I know we need to make a couple of findings, but is there anything we need to discuss or talk about as far as the Aquifer Protection Overlay District? Is there?
I'm sorry.
What?
Yes, you should refer to the standard as well. So if you scroll down, or if I scroll down, you don't have to scroll down.
But are there any special findings by itself to it?
There are. So section 145-40 is the section that deals with the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. You have it there?
Yeah.
And if you scroll down specifically to, the very first section, subsection A, includes the that's the findings.
The findings.
To justify it's, bear with me. Special permit criteria, it's in F2. So in that bottom, you go to the next page or the one after. F is in Frank.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So that's the standard for the issuance of a special permit, which is different than the 6 criteria you just read. You have to determine that groundwater quality resulting from the on-site waste disposal and other on-site operations will not fall below applicable federal or state standards for drinking and recreational water at the down gradient property boundary.
Okay. Did you hear that, Bill? Did you hear him read that?
Yes.
So, how does the applicant respond to that question? I mean, we talked a little bit
You probably ask David.
Yeah.
Did you hear the question, David?
I did. So as far as the wastewater disposal system, it was designed with a pre-treatment filter. Wastewater from a gas station is considered high strength. So the system is equipped with a treatment system that pre-treats the wastewater, brings its strength down to that of a residential system before it's discharged to the leach field system. And it is compliant with Massachusetts regulations. The wastewater system, the stormwater system, as we discussed earlier, it takes into account the measures to separate the fueling areas from stormwater runoff through the canopy, through positive limiting barriers, and through grading stormwater away from the pad, and then discharge is further protected through the use of deep sump catch basins with hoods and the centrifugal stormwater quality separator. So full treatment is provided of the stormwater prior to discharge to the infiltration basin.
So that's basically our finding of fact. Do we need to make a motion on that or anything, or can we just add that as a finding of fact? And if we get to the motion to grant the permit, that's a finding of fact, because we're gonna reference this 145-40.
Right, so you've been making your findings, and when
Yeah.
you ultimately vote, whenever
Okay.
that may be, you would
Okay.
vote to issue the permit subject to the findings and with the conditions that we
Right.
have yet to discuss.
Okay, so we'll take that as a finding of fact for this application. Okay. Where do you want to go next, Bill?
Well, we probably should have we need to
You want
find out
section
the
finding?
section 6 finding, right?
All right, I'll do that. I'll make up for last time. I propose that the proposed project will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood.
For a second.
Yes, I am.
Second.
Okay. So
Any
we're ready to
discussion?
vote. Polling the members. Rob,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. The motion carries. All right, so now we need a motion for the special permit based on the findings of fact.
So I move that the proposed project and use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town in view of the particular characteristics of the site.
Second.
Do you want to add subject to the findings of fact?
Sure.
All right, is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
All right.
Any
Polling the
discussion?
members, Rob,
Quick question is, when do we do the restrictions or
Conditions are.
Conditions under the granting of the permit.
okay, so that's coming.
Yeah.
All right, so that's part, okay.
Yes.
Rob says yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well, Bill Cadigan. All right, motion carries.
So before we consider a motion to grant the special permit, I think we should talk about any potential conditions. And one of them, I think maybe we should look at a previous decision as well. I noticed a couple things in there that might be helpful. One of them being hours of operation, but did we ask, is it in the application? No. Do you have hours of operation that were proposed?
We did look up the old condition.
And?
I believe that it was 5 a.m. to
Are they all the same on all of them?
5 a.m. to 8 p.m. is in the old.
Monday through Friday.
You're right.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday,
Yeah.
8 to 8 Sunday. That's the 2012 permit.
Right,
Well,
and then
that's
the previous one that was that was a different time. This overrules it because it was.
The latest permit would be the one that
Latest.
would be applicable,
Yeah.
right? But they're asking to modify it.
Are you
so it's
okay
fair.
with those hours or?
I've asked him that same question and his answer was yes.
Okay. Are we okay with that? So basically, I mean, I would be, if I was in a butter and I had cars pulling out directed straight at my house, I would be like, okay, when's that gonna end?
Right.
So we're looking at like 8 o'clock at night. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Bill,
5
you-
a.m.? Okay, yeah, and then there's 5 a.m. during the week.
Yeah.
I'm always astonished at the number of people on the road at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Not me, but
You'll get all the folks going to the golf course.
Boston traffic.
And the
at 5
Boston,
a.m.
people going to Boston, yeah.
Bill,
Oh, really?
are you good with the hours we had on the previous decision as well? What else? Want me to read the conditions or Vicky has them. Maybe Vicky could go through the conditions we had on the previous permit to see if we want to just incorporate those or if there are any changes to them.
Sounds good.
Updates? All right.
All right. So the conditions were, 1, hours of operation shall be Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Second, a 5-foot buffer of trees and bushes shall be maintained along 2 side lot lines to protect abutters. 3, in the interest of safety, the facility is to be in compliance with Townsend zoning bylaw 145-52 outdoor lighting. Which I think now.
Yeah,
is that-
let's
is that
go,
current enough?
you know what, let's do each one. Number 2, would you say is not applicable because they've offered a kind of an updated, better solution for a buffer with the trees,
Yeah,
and
I'd say
I
so.
like that
Well-
better, so let's,
The cypress, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also site plan review material, so I don't think we need to put,
yeah,
I don't think we need to get into that, except,
okay. And then we don't need to reference the outdoor lighting. I think we did that last time because it was a rather new bylaw. It was kind of like, and I don't know if the EG had accepted it, but they have to comply anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Condition, and it just reiterates what we have to do. Anyway.
Well,
So I don't think we need to say that.
no, we didn't get the new bylaw anyway, right? I don't remember getting it.
Well, that was the old new one.
If you're going into the condition relative to lighting, I wouldn't be quite so specific. I would just say the applicant is required to comply with all outdoor lighting provisions of the town's bylaws as in effect. Those are general bylaws. They're retroactive in effect anyway. So if something
Yeah.
gets adopted in a year, it's going to be applicable.
So what's your recommend? Do we even have to put it in there? They have to comply with it.
Right. I mean, I've got
So I don't
I've
like
got
to
some boards I
overrate.
represent that will include a dozen conditions reminding an applicant of things it has to comply with anyway, but they like the belt and suspenders approach. I have other boards that say they're required to do it. We defer to the enforcing authorities to ensure that they
Right.
do.
Because I wouldn't want to put them in there and go, oh, well, you forgot one, so you probably didn't mean that one.
That's fair.
So if you guys want it in there, fine. I don't care.
No, I think we could just put the boilerplate that other requirements of other boards or this permit does not, whatever.
I think that's already in our boilerplate language too, so I think it is in there, yeah, okay.
Number 4, due to its location in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, there shall be no increase in the amount of hazardous materials stored on site. Is that already managed by the Board of Health?
I'd like to stick with that.
Well, the
Yeah.
challenge, if I could, is that they're proposing a new facility altogether with, I think, how many pumps were on the site before?
Yeah,
8, were there 8 stations before? Probably
Just 2.
not. So my guess is
No.
they're gonna have gasoline on site. So if you require them to limit the storage to what existed in 2012,
no, limit the of what they're applying for, no more than that,
it says there shall be no increase in the amount of hazardous materials stored on site.
right?
So no increase beyond what the plans show. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, but I don't, is that necessary?
Is gasoline.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I thought that was a state.
I think with the new facility and all the compliance, everything that's involved, I don't think that's necessary.
I agree.
Well, I guess the question I have at the moment then is, are you planning to sell oil in the convenience store?
Oh,
I don't know, what do you mean?
like quarts of, I would think.
Well, just
so.
motor oil, like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever you need for your engine, like that's about it.
Yeah,
Like, you know, auto accessories that which you can get at one of the other two gas stations. I mean, we're not gonna be any different than them. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
just
what's,
yeah,
what's normal and customary for that kind of a,
you know, if you need to.
So aside from zoning controls, there are state laws that govern storage of hazardous materials, and the required mitigation depends upon the extent of storage. So if you've got, you know, at any one time, 20 quarts of oil, 5 out on the shelf and 15 in the back room, you're likely not going to trigger any containment requirements. If you've got more significant storage on site, same thing as a propane filling storage tank on the side. How big is it? Are you selling tanks that, you know, you swap the tank, you pay $19.95, or do you have a large tank in the back that you're filling? There's different requirements that apply. So I'm less concerned about the quarts of oil and more concerned that you're specific enough with respect to what you're allowing. The way that I read the condition in 2012, because it was amending a prior permit, is that your board at the time was saying, and Bill would know better than I because he was on the board at the time, but I think it was saying that there would be no increase from what existed prior to that 2012 permit and the amount of hazardous material on site. And I don't know that we want to say that about the gas station that existed in 2012, because they are going to have more than they had under the prior operation. You could just say that all storage of hazardous materials will comply with state law.
Yeah.
Which again is telling you what they already know, but at least it's showing.
I like that. I like that. You got that? Did Beth get that?
I think the only issue might be if there was like bulk oil storage there or something like that. But if it's all quarts of oil that somebody might need once in a while, then that's not going to be an issue.
What else we got?
All right, so for number 4, we are or we not? So what this is the no increase in amount of hazardous materials.
No, delete that.
No, we're not gonna,
Delete that, please.
All right, number 5, material delivery hours shall coincide with the hours of operation per state and local requirements. I think
that's good too, because we have had issues in the past with deliveries happening in the middle of the night, and you know, that's not something we want to support. So I think that's good.
Okay.
Good condition.
And number 6, the zoning board of appeals shall be provided with evidence that the special permit has been recorded at the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds. I don't think we do that anymore, do we?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't put it in the conditions, right?
Yeah. We don't need to do that.
No, to get the building permit, you need the evidence of recording.
Oh.
Most boards do.
Maybe it's just it's in our boilerplate. So
Maybe it is. Yeah.
I think it is.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can we revisit the times for hours of operation one last time? There's a certain amount of flux here. Let's just take them one at a time and come up with the same numbers on all sides.
Okay.
I've got 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays.
Yeah.
And I'm relying on you to jump in if you want it.
Exactly.
On Saturday, I've got 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And on Sunday, I missed it.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
8 to 8.
So do you have anything that you want to? You're the one who's got to wait.
I know. Now I'm gonna hire some. I'm not a morning person. You're gonna have
You can have less hours. You just can't have more hours. You know.
So the only because last time we increased 1 hour, because when I opened that Sitco, and at that time morning they open 6 o'clock and I increase 1 hour. I go through zoning board and everything. Then they make 5 to 8. Yeah.
So, the only consideration I would like you guys to, consider is on Sundays, 8 a.m. for, coffee shop, like, if we could do like 7, just Saturday hours, just the hour early, because we're definitely gonna miss a lot of business if we open at 8 a.m. So, instead of opening 8 to 8 on Sundays, can we just do 7 a.m. to 8?
Saturday or Sunday?
My opinion is because I run that location myself. Whole day I run. I open to close. I run that. 5 to 8, normal weekdays. Saturday, Sunday, 7 to 8.
Same on those days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both days, 7 to 8, because that is the traffic is coming from New Hampshire, going to Boston, and they are early bird. And traffic morning and evening, we have a lot of that 119. They are bumper to bumper. If you pay attention, morning up to school to light, they are bumper to bumper, morning and evening. And that is good. If they want breakfast or something, gas, they grab and go.
What's consistency? You don't need to remember, hey, on Saturday there are 7.
I can open morning, no problem, because I am not enough. I can't sleep that much because
We're not making it 24 hours.
I can open that morning, no problem.
Anybody have any issue with that?
No.
I think 7 is fine on Sunday. I mean, nobody else is awake.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I don't even think Cliffs is open until 8.
Can I ask a few questions and suggest a condition or two? So there was some discussion along the easterly side of the property where you've got the hedgerow or the proposed 6-foot hedgerow of a fence. I think I heard the chair refer to the planning board site plan review process as maybe being a better opportunity to consider those sorts of site attributes. Are you requiring a fence as a condition, or are you deferring to the planning board? And I think this is particularly important in light of the fact that the adjacent neighbor on the opposite side is the only individual, the only abutter that submitted a letter in opposition to the project.
So the trees are gonna be, so I was gonna revert to, we always say built according to plan. So I asked how tall the trees were, how many. So that's on the plan. That's what they have to do. The fence, I think, could be helpful, but I don't want that to inhibit the tree growth either. No?
No. Just don't put it.
It's those thin cedar, like really tall cedars, I think.
Like arborvitae or what?
Yeah, I think the only issue with the trees is that it takes them a while to grow, and whereas a fence is going to be probably a better deal.
It'll block the lights at night.
Well,
coming into their
until it
side.
gets old, depends on what kind of fence.
What's this? You have a
Start at 6 feet.
7 feet?
So
We can put on the
And
side.
6-foot fence can go on the property line. And
we're more than happy to put a fence in.
So you have to determine height of fence, type of fence. Do you want a stockade fence?
Right.
Do you want a vinyl fence that maybe looks better over time, but maybe you don't like the look of the vinyl
Right.
fence?
if it's not vinyl, then it has a different lifespan.
That's
Well, I'll tell you, I think they've got some awful nice vinyl, country style looking vinyl, 6-foot high privacy fences today.
Yeah, the vinyl's much better these days.
Would you be okay with that?
We're good with whatever you guys propose.
So
I think
6 foot.
I think it would help.
Vinyl.
Yeah, any certain color you wanna? Color's the house next door.
Kind of grayish, I believe.
Is this normally a planning board issue?
Wow.
It is. So my next point was going to be,
Yeah.
I think we need to include
Some
some clarifying or conditional language. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to dictate type, size, height, color, and then you go to the planning board and they dictate something different.
Right.
So if the fence is important to you, you can dictate approximately where it needs to be and the style of fence that you're preferring, but then maybe defer the
Right,
specifics
right.
to the planning board.
Yeah.
So the house next door is this color.
Yeah, okay, so I would want to see 6 feet and a vinyl type, and
color and
Yes.
style to be determined.
Right,
by-
to fit with
By
the,
planning board, yeah.
with the abutting properties and, you know, obviously that property too.
But you're looking for something solid like a stockade fence, not
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to block the sound. I mean, you know, a concrete fence might even be better, but that's a bit over the top.
So I think if
Like
we,
what
if we
they-
say, sorry, go ahead, Bill. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Like what they put on the side of the road, you know, when the neighbors don't like the road noise, you know, one of those things. That would do the trick.
And it doesn't really conform to the nature of
20 feet high.
the.
I guess it might be considered a spite fence. Who knows?
So a 6-foot solid privacy fence, color and style to be determined by the planning board along the easterly
Sounds
boundary and the approximate location of where the trees are shown, because that's a long, you don't want it all the way
Yes.
back to the rear of the
Right,
property, right?
no, right,
Okay.
right.
So that was my first one. My second one is I think it always makes sense to refer to the MassDOT process. They acknowledge that they need MassDOT permits for these accesses, or I think there's a different permit that issues if you already have an existing access. But usually I'd include something that says this permit is subject to the issuance of MassDOT permits, access permits, as shown in the plan. If any alterations occur to the plan as a result of that process, they've got to come back to the board. Right, because you don't want them to change the locations
Right,
because
right,
MassDOT
right.
dictates it, and then it's different than what you
Right.
approved.
That's fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
If I might, through the chair, just to clarify that it is in fact common to have that kind of language, but I would add the word substantial change, because it's often the case that DOT will say, well, rather than having a 25-foot curb radii, I have a 30, right? So those types of changes are considered minor in nature, and we'd want to avoid a situation of necessarily having to come back for minor changes.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Substantial should be in there.
Okay.
And then my only last comment is it's actually a requirement in your aquifer protection overlay district that in issuing approval for a special permit use, that the holder of any special permit under this section must provide evidence on an annual basis that the town of Townsend is named as a loss payee on an environmental insurance policy.
Yeah.
So it says that in the bylaw, but I think it makes sense so
Yeah,
that it doesn't
yeah.
get lost, that it be
Let's
incorporated
put
as a
that
condition
as
of
a
approval.
condition. Okay. Loss pay.
No issue with that.
Is there anything else that we're? You
I
remember those
totally
ones?
forgot about that. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm amazed we were able to get that into the bylaw.
Yeah, it was the aquifer protection overlay that I wanted to make sure we really covered.
Okay,
I can't think
are
of
we ready
anything
for,
else.
we're ready for a motion?
Who wants to make the motion? Come on, Vicky.
Oh,
I know.
let's see.
Yeah, go by the other one. It says, after you grant it, subject to the findings of fact, the conditions built according to plan.
All right, we took care of the more detrimental than existing non-conforming.
Yeah, we already did
Took care
that.
of
That's a section 6
Okay.
finding.
Now, are we,
We did, the special permit, finding of fact, we did that. So now it's just actually granting the permit, so we need the names.
all right, so I make a motion to grant the application or grant the permit to
Special
324, special permit to 324 Main Street Partners LLC under zoning bylaws 145-18,
Yeah,
145-40, and 145-65 to renovate an existing vacant gas station and convenience store located at 324 Main Street, map 50, block 17, lot 0,
subject to
subject to the findings of
fact,
fact and
the special conditions as
Special condi-
listed.
special conditions as listed.
Oh, what was the other one? Oh, crap.
You got some boilerplates as well.
The
It's
last page,
standard and special conditions, because you have some standard conditions that will
Yeah.
incorporate.
Subject to standard and special conditions.
Well, yeah, subject to the conditions, we listed those, we have those
Yeah.
listed. To be built according to plan.
To be built according to plan.
I think that's in our boilerplate too, but.
Is there a second?
Did I
Second.
forget anything? Okay. Any discussion? We got everything? All right. We're good. Call our names, Bill.
Okay, polling members, Rob,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well, Bill Cadigan. The motion carries. So we have 14 days to file the decision. You'll get a copy of it in the mail with the town clerk's stamp showing the date of filing. And then there's a 20-day appeal period. What you can do is go to any appeals would have to be filed through the town clerk, so you can go to the town clerk and she will give you a letter saying that no appeals have been filed. And you take that plus your evidence of recording at the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds to the building inspector, and you can get your permits. Well, I mean, these days, I think there's like maybe a 30-day, lapse between permit application and actually receiving it, but that's our process.
They gotta go to site plan review with the planning board
And
too,
Board of Health.
so. Oh, and Board
Oh,
of
yeah.
Health,
Do it now.
Yeah.
Are you already like on the roster for it or?
We'll get it in right away, for sure.
And Board of Health, right?
Go to health, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, board.
Good luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good night, Dave and Bob.
Do we have anything else, any other business we need to take care of?
I appreciate your time.
Come forward to the mic.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Beth, come to the
Why don't
mic.
we let them skedaddle?
Special town meeting on the 28th of January.
This you, Ed? So we gotta go to the planning board.
And I think that's it for this only thing in correspondence.
Beth has one thing to say, but we can't hear her yet.
The town didn't. So now they're gonna file. Until they do, it's just treading in that. Once they file it with the court, and the next starts at 20 days.
No, we're waiting for
They're waiting
you.
on you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I've got to. My apologies.
That's okay.
So no, I just wanted to let you
Thank
know,
you, sir.
January.
I appreciate that.
Special
I'm
January
trying
28th?
to give a best service in the town. I did before and now I am trying more.
Thank you.
Because I am kind of retired and I pay full attention to this location. I have 3 other locations, but just only I go and check that we have 3 locations in Pittsburgh. Because the Monterey 2 sides we are running now. And one is John Pitch Highway, one is Boulder Drive, and one is Mechanic Street. And one we have a New Hampshire. So 3-4 locations. We are experienced and people, especially me and my kids, they are younger and they work on the pump.
Did you leave an umbrella?
That's mine.
No.
Oh, that's yours.
No,
Okay.
that's not mine.
All right, good luck. All right,
Good
so special town meeting is January?
Yes, we have it on, January 28th, 2025. The warrant's gonna open on December 2nd and will close on the 18th. The planning board is meeting Monday I know.
What is it?
It's a special town, it's the fall town meeting.
It's the same things we would
Oh,
have
it's
typically
the
done in
fall.
October or November.
But
except
it
that
used to
we
be in September.
Well, we didn't have a board of, we didn't have a select board.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I don't know, I've some
No,
notes
it-
in here.
yeah,
For Christmas.
It used to be September, and then it became October, then November.
Yeah.
So,
So the planning board is meeting on Monday at 4 o'clock to discuss, easy zoning amendments that would help permitting and smooth out the, regulations to make it easier. Just sort of small tweaks, easy stuff, so.
great.
So is Laura Schifrin now resigned from?
Small tweaks in what, Beth? I didn't get that.
Elected positions. You can
So planning board meeting Monday at 4 to have a board discussion on, potential zoning amendments, for this town meeting. There are a couple of things, there would be more of a housekeeping at this point, because, there's not a long time to draft amendments, but there is time for a public hearing to process some small amendments. So the goal is perhaps some of those nagging zoning bylaw problems can be fixed easily, sort of administrative and clerical in nature, but housekeeping.
All right, anything else?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion?
Polling of members. Rob,
Yes.
Vicky,
I want to say no, just because, but no, yes.
Darlene,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
is he still with us? Oh, good, he's still there. I'll vote yes. All right, thank you very much.